Good morning and welcome to the session Next Level Now. This is a session about what it takes to take advanced digitalization to the next level. This is a session about cooperation, about cooperating horizontally across companies and company borders, across industry segments, and across the private and public sector to solve real industrial needs. So, this is a session where you can learn how you can team up with leading experts from the Swedish industry, from academia, and leading research institutes. A session about how you can test your technology in real industrial environments and how you can get funding and share your innovation risk with others. The Advanced Digitalization Program is a joint effort between the Swedish industry and state. Over 300 projects have been completed so far, and there are lots of one ongoing as we speak. More than 3.8 billion Swedish crowns have been invested, and this is one of the biggest Swedish industrial programs that we have. And in 2025, there will be a new set of projects that will be started up that will offer opportunities for startups and small and medium-sized companies. And I really want you to listen carefully and think how you can use them. So to start with, I think we will look backwards at some examples of projects that have been successful so far. So we will take a look at 4 different projects, and then there will be a panel discussion about looking forwards. So I'd like to welcome on stage first Johan Selstedt, Senior Project Manager, Business Development, Saab. And Johan, you will share with us how advanced digitalization will impact the lower airspace.
Thank you. Yesterday, I met a friend here at the arena, and he started thinking about, wait a minute. When I'm out hunting moose, and for no particular reason, I'm starting to get kind of hungry. Can I then order a burger? And I said, yes, of course. That's the idea of this. And he also said, I have a friend who has a heart condition. If he gets ill, are you able to help him? Yes, that's also the idea. And then he started thinking quite a lot, being kind of creative and thinking about, my car is not that great. So if it breaks down in the middle of nowhere, can I get spare parts? And I said, that's also a possibility with this technology. So what we are doing is we are advancing something called low altitude economy in this. And those were 3 examples. There can be many, many more that we're enabling with this project. And we're actually leaping forward and being an ecosystem enabler for a huge market. It has been estimated worldwide to be above 100 billion euros annually. And how do we do this? So in our case, we're having a collaboration through many stakeholders. And getting this to work, we have users like you. We have service providers, like the drone you see across the hall. And we have also connect to authorities, like first responders. And they impose restrictions and also possibilities in the airspace. And to make this really work in a national context, we need to engage also the air traffic control. The manned air traffic need to be a part of the drone environment also. So here you see two other aspects of it. It's something you haven't probably heard about, and that's use-based service provider. And that's a rule engine. That's what we're going to build now to be able to control the airspace. So it's more like a digital air traffic controller. We often been asked about AI and future functionalities, but today we are all focusing on having the right methods to be able to accompany the rules and regulations of EASA. And that's what we're going to do also. There's also a common information sharing platform that enable us to share the information of the airspace types and all these other things to other stakeholders that's not part of it, the ecosystem directly. So what this project brings us, we have significantly reduced the implementation time through parallel execution. So we engage all the stakeholders already now. So if you're a part of the ecosystem, please reach out. We would like to connect to more. Also increase the accessibility to new innovation. So we encourage also small companies and startups just figuring out their own part in this industry. So we're accelerating growth by introducing cross-functional ecosystem enablers. Many words, but that's kind of... So by that, I strongly suggest that if you, in any way possible, are interested in joining us, please reach out to us and we will be able to connect you to this new system.
Thank you, Johan. Thank you very much. So that was the first example. Let's move on to a second one. Let's welcome to the stage David Sten, co-founder and CTO of Endre Tech.
Nope. Not
Då är det fel på bilderna.
Yes.
Kör fram bilderna istället så backar vi dem.
Okay. Sorry for that. So the power system in Sweden haven't seen a large change in the last 40 years. But this is changing now as the society is becoming more and more electrified. Both we see that there is new technologies with batteries and solar PVs and so on. We see policy changes and shifting behaviors among the customers. And this is putting a lot of stress on the distribution system operators on how to plan their networks. What we do at Endre is to try to support the DSO both by using conventional data from the grid operators, but also with societal insights. So we create a platform or a digital societal twin to support the DSO, both with long-term planning and long-term forecast and scenario planning, that we try to visualize clearly for the DSOs or the network operators. And within this advanced digitalization project that we have been focusing on trying to understand the end user's need. So we have started a pilot project with a local grid operator and which are using the platform that we have developed to to get their insights, what they need, and how they will use this platform. And in addition to that, we also have, we get data from them and also convert it to insights within the platform, so we can train our model better. When we look at the next step, what we're trying to do, so in the coming months, we aim to release this platform so that other DSOs and network operator can use it for the network planning. But we also see that we need to expand, because Sweden is a quite small market, and if we look at Europe, we see that the demand and need for this kind of solutions is even higher. And then we are also continuing developing the product, both with more data and better accuracy in the forecast and scenario development. What we have gained from this is increased knowledge about how to do network planning. And today there are not really many tools that are doing this, and there is a huge need for this to handle the transition. So I think this is something that Sweden can have quite much use of in the future. All right, that's everything.
Thank you very much, David. So, in the third example, we have something really, really hot for you. Firefighting. Let's welcome on stage Ulrika Engström, PhD and Project Manager Research at Ericsson Research.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Very glad to be here. Fantastic. Nexus is about digitalization of forest firefighting, because it has very high societal benefit when improved. We have all heard about the devastating forest fires in Los Angeles last month, right? So, Nexus' purpose is to empower seamless sharing and interaction of data, thereby empowering forest firefighting improvements in terms of efficiency and safety for firefighters beyond traditional today's devices. We have identified a number of challenges. Of course, there is data out there, but it's typically isolated in islands or even silos due to regulatory and organizational borders. We also, for a firefighter, should put out fires, right? So traditional handheld devices is not very best fit there. We believe that, for instance, XR glasses is much more fit for communication there. Third, we have heard about the vast data sources here, for instance, drones and also XR glasses. That's excellent to perform analysis on in the control room to improve firefighting. And fourth, it should be preferably plug and play. Simply connect to the digital network. How does this sound? A bit challenging, right? Yeah, of course, that's why we are here and doing research. So, in Nexus, we have gathered very good expertise. We aim at real-world user trials and also POCs. So we have user groups in terms of MSB, Swedish Civil Contingency Agency, together with the largest fire and rescue services in Sweden, and Swedish Road Authority. Technical-wise, we have world-leading tech competence in terms of Ericsson, Combitech, Telia Northstar, and KTH and RISE. We will also leverage existing research forums. That is Vara Public Safety Research Forum and also Vinnova Center Tecosa. Nexus is partly funded by Vinnova and also Advanced Digitalisering. And of course, collaboration is key here. Without it, we need to collaborate like this to actually succeed. And next steps, we are in the beginning of this exciting project. I've talked about some challenges, like about data and organizational borders. We also have some technology components a bit immature. We are in the middle of hiring now for research positions, and we are also looking to expand partner and ecosystem. So feel free to contact me later on. So how does Nexus contribute to Swedish industry? Well, much about data sharing, data interaction, right? And augmented reality is one of the key enablers, use cases for many industrial scenarios. We also have Nexus is also built as a Swedish-based ecosystem, innovation ecosystem, like ripples on the water, because Nexus findings will also be applicable in other scenarios and applications, and also will have impact on global standards being developed as we speak. So it's a Swedish-centered, Swedish needs catered for when developing standards. And we also have global partners in the project that have global reach. So that's the way Nexus contributes to this. Yes. With this, feel free to contact me afterwards. We are interested in talking and interacting with you.
Thank you, Ulrika. 3 good examples of projects in the Advanced Digitalization program, none of which could succeed without their experts. And taking care of experts and how experts learn is really important. And no one knows more about this than our next speaker, Eva Hansson, Global Head of Learning and Development and Technical Specification from Ericsson.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. The first thing I would like to say is that we have never been in a more competitive environment for talent and skills. And that put a lot of pressure on all of us to unlock our potential, but also, of course, the potential in our organizations. To be here today at TechArena is a great opportunity for all of us to have meaningful connections, to share our stories and to listen to stories. But of course, also to be the stewards of the stories that we hear. This is how we can learn and grow together. Sweden and I would say also Europe, we are in a reinventing phase. We are moving toward new business models, which will require much more of ecosystem, much more of collaboration and partnership. And I'm sure that learning has a role to play, to be a game changer, to make this happen, to make us execute on the Sweden digital strategy. And if you probably heard that when Sweden has been highly ranked in research and development over the years, and in order to remain high in these rankings and be competitive as a nation, then we need to make sure that we learn faster than the transformation, that we have the skills before we need them. Being here and representing one tech company as Ericsson, with most of the research and development in Sweden, I'm of course a bit worried. I'm worried because we will lack more than 70,000 engineers 2030. And that means that we need to accelerate now. We need to invest in learning. But it's not only about money. It is about how we learn. Invest in new ways of learning. We need to move away from being program-focused, course-focused. We need to learn in the flow of the innovation. We need to learn in the flow of the work and from real use cases, from real data. And when we have done that, we also need to put these skills to work. We need to make sure that we apply the skills. That's when we have the result of learning, end of the day. Oh, this was my slide? Yeah, okay. We go to the next slide. So, a couple of years ago, 4 industries, you see them on the slide, and 4 academias decided to come together to gear up for growth, making sure that we were ahead so that we could execute on our digital strategy for Sweden. Together with Teknikföretagen and Vinnova, we decided that we need to build the skills before we need them for Sweden. And so far, we have built out learning activities related to many of the technical key areas, like security, like AI, and we are targeting our true experts. And I would say we do it in the flow of the work, in the flow of the use cases you have just heard. We have launched a metaverse platform, an XR platform, where we also can imagine the future already before it's there. Use these use cases and learn from them at the same time with closing geographical gaps. This is what I would say a way to also be bold and move Sweden into the future. And my last, so to say, call for action here is, please join us. Either no matter if you are a startup company or a bigger organization, public organization, join us, be part of these learning journeys, or be part of this there are many ways you can contribute to this. So with that, I think I hand over to you, back to you.
Thank
again.
you.
Yeah.
And thank you, Eva. And why don't you stay here for the panel discussion? So let's look ahead now. We have had 3 examples and we talked about how we take care of our experts and do learning. Let's welcome the other panel members and look ahead. So I'd like to welcome on stage Fredrik Gylesjö, Advanced Digitalization Program, Sofie Wennersten, the Volvo Group, Stella Riyad, Rise Research, and Eva is already on the stage.
I
Very
stay.
practical. Ja, det blir bra. So, let's start with you, Fredrik. You're with the Advanced Digitalization Program. You're responsible for innovation and research.
That's correct.
And I had this idea that why don't we start from the sky and we zoom in to the details. So
Right.
looking at the big perspective, what will this program mean for Sweden?
Yeah, starting with the big perspective then. It's a global race, of course, about developing the newest technologies and also applying the newest technologies into innovative solution. And that's the race that's going on. And Sweden, of course, needs to set and secure its positions in this race. And we need to do this by being a bit bold, and taking risk is part of being bold. And in the Advanced Digitalization Program, it's all about getting the Swedish industry together and collaborating on common aspects of digitalization, working across industry sectors and such. And it's about sharing information, sharing data, sharing systems between each other, and by that being able to build the next level of solutions in the digital space.
Sounds great. Now, we will move on to large companies and small companies and startups and so on, but what about the rest of us? All of us here, I mean, Sweden, it's us. How will this impact us more on a down-to-earth level?
I think that, of course, being able to connect systems together and collaborate more. I mean, you saw, if you were sitting in the previous session, you saw a number of projects from our portfolio that in essence is about data sharing. It is the Nexus project and the air mobility project, for instance. And of course, this is new solutions that enables the consumer and the society to develop new solutions, new ideas and new ways of living and working and such.
I'd like that. Sounds good.
Yep.
So, okay, society, Sweden. Let's move on to the big companies. We have Sofie Wennersten here, Director of Public Policy and Regulatory Affairs from the Volvo Group. Now, why is a program like this interesting for Volvo? I think you have a good example for us.
Absolutely, Anders. And just to clarify then that I come from the Volvo Group is constructing trucks, buses, construction equipment and marine applications. And advanced digitalization, as Fredrik says, is a crucial platform for us to work together with others. And because innovation is when technology reaches the market and gets implemented and creates value for citizens and industries. And in advanced digitalization, the R&D framework needs to support this early on so that we can learn about our different roles and responsibilities in periods of change, different time horizons that we have among actors. And so it's a perfect platform for that. And a concrete example then, as you were saying, Anders, is we are in the middle of a transition. We have high ambitious goals to be fossil-free by 2040 in our whole value chain. And then we have European legislation also that we are going to fulfill, particularly then when it comes to, as an example, then the electrification of trucks. And to meet the European legislation, 1/3 of all trucks that we sell in 2030 should be electric. And that is only 5 years away. So you understand that we depend quite a lot on collaboration with other actors and other sectors. And we describe it as an equation where all parameters need to, well, it can't be zero because then the whole equation is zero. So the first parameter, of course, is that there should be trucks available, electric trucks and technology. And that we can take care of from Volvo Group. And we are market leading and that we feel safe. But the other parameters, we are really depending on collaboration. And for example, the cost factor, there needs to be policies that bridge the gap between the electric trucks and diesel trucks. So we need to collaborate with policymakers. For the infrastructure, we need 40,000 charging infrastructure stations, fast charging stations in Europe by 2030. But there are 500 today. So we need to collaborate with authorities. And energy, we were hearing before, we depend extremely on fossil-free energy at the right place, at the right time, at the right effect. So here we need to collaborate with the energy sector. And in all of these parameters and in all of our business, the production, the sales, the internal process, we need digitalization, and it's a key enabler. And data sharing and data collaboration, as Fredrik were mentioning, it's absolutely key. And so that's why I think it's also a unique program that we collaborate across sectors. Otherwise, it's quite common that you are within a sector, but this is really truly cross-sector.
Thank you. I was thinking we'll move on from larger companies towards smaller companies, but when they meet, I'm thinking the Volvo Group, you're a global player, you have tons of experts and resources and so on. Why would you bother to work with startups and SMEs? Why bother?
Yeah, I mean, as you are right, we are a big machinery. We have 100 years tradition of industrial processes and so on. But this transition, of course, also we need to change our way of working also. We need and here we can get a lot of inspiration when it comes to speed and simplicity from startups. A lot of innovative, good ideas come from that sector, of course. So we've actually set up another machinery for this that we call CampX, that we have in 4 places around the globe. It's a collaborative machinery that we partner up with startups and work together, and then they can work on our challenges and we can help them scale. So it's a very well-working machinery, I would say.
Thank you, Sophie. Okay, so now we're talking about the smaller companies, and we have here Stella Riyad from Rise Research. And I've been told, you work a lot with AI. Very exciting. You work a lot with small companies and startups. Very exciting. So from their perspective, they're fast, they're bright, they're brilliant, they're in AI. Why would they bother to work with the big giants like the Volvos and Ericssons of this world? What's in it for them?
So I think it's, Sophie was touching upon that it's a lot about collaboration and learning from each other. So, the smaller companies, they are really quick. They are really sort of experts in their specific field. But they also need to understand, the real world challenges and what problems are actually out there to sort of stay relevant. And working with larger companies, they can also, get access to computing resources, data in some cases, like market reach, but also they can get help and also understand regulatory challenges, etc. So there are many aspects of collaboration which actually strengthens sort of both sides. And being a small sort of innovative company, that also means that you can pick up innovation very quickly. So the innovation that is done in these projects can be more easily sort of developed into an actual product by a smaller company compared to a larger company in some cases. So there are many benefits, I would say, for companies of all sizes to participate in projects in this program.
That makes a lot of sense. So they can score faster than the big ones.
Yeah, in many cases that's true.
I like that. Now, just suppose that there are some SMEs or startups out here who are sort of playing with the idea, but that are a little bit scared about big, giant, academia. Could you give them some advice? How should they think about a possibility like this?
So first, I think it's important to think about what would be your goal in participating in this project. And try to find a product that actually sort of suits your interests. I think that is important. But at the same time, I think it's also important to be open and curious and listen to what bigger companies are saying, but also what ideas are actually coming from research institutes and academia, because they approach questions from a different perspective, and that can be very, very useful. And also think about like the real world impact that you can actually make with these new innovations. So, take the new innovation and scale them, and how you want to do that. And then try to stay adaptable when you go into these research programs. I know this can be difficult for small companies, but a research project doesn't always sort of follow the predicted trajectory, and try to stay adaptive also to sort of changes in the project, because even better things can come up from it also when they change. That would be some of my thoughts.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Stella. Now, I was thinking again, coming back to the experts, the ones we all depend on. I wish I was an expert, maybe something to aspire for. But
We are all experts in something.
in some way. I was thinking, why do we have to orchestrate experts learning from experts? Can't they figure out themselves that they need to get in touch and learn from one another? Why do we need to work actively with this?
I would say that they absolutely capable of, driving a lot of their expertise themselves. We should not take that away from them, absolutely not. But we can enable this. And the overall purpose here is not only about each individual. It is about Sweden. It is about us as a nation to mobilize. We heard you talk about the new business models. This is not an option. This is actually what is now happening in the environment, in the context, where we need to also make sure that we enable this to happen with more speed, with more acceleration, I would say. So then it's more from a learning side to figure out how can we do that in the best way. How can we, utilize on new technology and make sure that this is happening? I mean, it's happening here today, but how can it happen on a daily basis as well? I also like to emphasize something that definitely is not new, but to also share is one of the best way to learn. So I would say also making sure our experts also are the knowledge transfers and the sharing community is also a way to make this happen.
Large companies, small companies, experts. Is there a difference between experts in the small companies and in the large companies? Is there something interesting going on there?
I would say it might be, how you approach things. And here is, of course, also how we can learn from each other. But it's more built on the trust. I would say that the trust is the new currency. We need to make sure that we have more of the similarities than when we think.
Good. Frederick, we have an audience here. Maybe there are some small and medium-sized companies here thinking about this. Maybe there is a startup here. Who is welcome? Who can join this?
Well, everyone is welcome, large and medium and small in all sizes. So in essence, Advanced Digitalization is a partnership between the Swedish government and the Swedish industry. So that means that sharing basically financial risk 50-50 in our projects that we are running in the program, and also it's Advanced Digitalization is an arena for getting together. I mean, the large and the small on advancing, creating new, next level solutions for in the digital space, and it's also a way of learning. I mean, we're talking about learning, so I mean, we learn in a collaborative manner, not only developing the solutions but also spreading the learnings horizontally, which means that the next the next projects will start a few pinholes up in terms of based on the knowledge of the previous projects and so on. So it's an arena, and we're constantly developing this arena and finding ways to connect companies, large and small, together.
Sounds good. So where do I learn what's going on? What new programs have started? What's going to happen? How do I find out?
Well, we have a number of. We're working together with Vinnova, the Swedish innovation agency, and we have a number of calls open right now at their website. Also, go into if you go into Advanced Digitalization, Avancerad Digitalisering.se. You can find what we are doing right now, what we're focusing on, and join.
Sounds good. Okay, I'd like to lift the level again. Coming back to you, Sophie. Something I could have asked you before. Sweden, you're a global player. We talked about why bother with working with smaller companies, but why bother doing it in Sweden?
Yeah, well, we have, as Ericsson also, we have a lot of our R&D and research and development in Sweden, 60% actually. So we are one of the companies that spend the most R&D in Sweden. So of course it's very important that the frameworks can support the collaborative research that Fredrik is talking about also. And and also what I was mentioning, that innovation is when it becomes a reality in the market, and that we really deploy and do something with the knowledge that we learn, and it comes value. Then you need the collaboration, and we are very good at that in Sweden. We have a long tradition. We've heard it also yesterday in many of the panels, stressing how good we actually are. And it sounds like a cliche maybe, but that will be the key. I mean, going forward, that we could use the technology that we develop and materialize it in industry. Then we can really become successful. When we need arenas where we can test and deploy and demonstrate in real life situations to learn and bump into the different challenges that you don't know of before you actually bump into them. So that's why I think, yeah, it's a very good arena to do research and innovation.
Thank you. I was thinking, Stella, Sweden, we're a rather small company. We pour tons of money into this program. I mean, 3.8 billion crowns so far. But looking at what people are pouring into AI and AI development globally, that's not a lot. How can we accomplish as much as possible with what we have within the field of AI by working together? What's the magic trick here?
So I think the trick actually is working together. Sweden, as you say, it's a small country. We are too small for every company and every organization to do things on their own. I think we need to find the common challenges and really address them together. And we will not be the best in everything. So we also need to focus on what should we develop. But I think it's important that we find ways, and this is one of the ways, to collaborate between big companies, small companies, research institutes, academia, but also public organizations, to really, address the common challenges. We can't compete. We can't compete with each other and can't compete sort of internationally unless we really address the common issues. So I think that's really the key for us to be able to succeed. And I mean, Sweden, we are a country who are used to doing innovation. We're good at innovation, so we can do this as well. There is some really good AI talent in Sweden. We shouldn't forget that.
Thank you, Stella. Eva, cooperation is about trust. Business development and product development and technical development is about IP and about protecting yourself. We want experts to talk to one another across boundaries. How does this work out? It sounds quite tricky to me.
I think we found a way in the program to share openly, and as you say, it's very much about trust. But it's also about having coming together around the same challenges that we. And one of them, I would say, is also what we haven't really addressed here is the deregulation that is needed in this area, and where I also see that when we share challenges, we can also address them together. And so it's absolutely about innovation, but it's also about making sure that we show our politicians and decision makers what different options there is out there in order to also strengthen Sweden as a country. And I think that we have done through XR, for example, and we have been able to visualize, the future and what is needed. We had air mobility here as one example. So there might be other different reasons also for why we come together and collaborate. But of course, there is a need for trust, and there is a need for finding the rules for the principles for how to collaborate. But I do definitely not see that as the big issue for future collaboration.
That sounds very reassuring. Coming back to you, Fredrik, again, I mean, over 300 projects over a number of years, and we're looking ahead. I haven't prepared you for this question, but theme-wise, how do you come up with these themes? How have you what's the thinking been so far, and what's your thinking ahead for future themes coming up now?
So you're meaning to how do we define sort of the common needs of the Swedish industry across sectors? Yeah. So we do this in of course deep collaboration with the industry and industry sectors of various sorts. And we have a number of program councils where that has the role of putting together the common needs of the industry, and then we build focus around those needs and create different ways of collaborating in these areas. So that's what we do.
Can you give us any hints?
Well, data, of course, and well, AI is obviously on everyone's lips, but you also have to consider data, because I mean, without data and well-structured data and semantics, you're not able to apply real AI. And I think that you were talking about that AI. We're not going to be maybe a global leader in core, but we have a potential of becoming a really good global leader in applying AI in many ways. So data and AI is going to be there for quite a while, but we're also talking about the connectivity. To ensure that we have good connectivity. We're talking about security and resilience, cybersecurity, as a horizontal aspect of that is becoming more and more increasingly important in everything that is done in the industry. So a few of those themes you will be seeing in the future as well. Yeah.
Stella, you're really good at AI, and now we have Fredrik here, and Fredrik opens up. He says there's going to be investments in AI. Yeah. Now you can make a wish. What would you like the program to invest in terms of AI?
Oh wow, that one is that one was tricky.
What do we need to accomplish?
So I think, the boring answer is better data infrastructure, because that's often hampering. But I also think it's, Swedish industry needs to learn how to define the question, where AI is the tool to solve the tool to solve the problem. It's not AI in itself. It's actually problems. So personally, I think AI for material science is really, really interesting. So I would like to have something in that direction. I think there's a lot that can be done, and Sweden is very strong in material science. But there's, that was a personal reflection, I think. There are many, many things you could do with AI where that would be useful. So that you sort of put me a bit on the spot there, but yeah.
Excellent. Now, you said something that I really like. You said that we need to use technology to solve real problems, real needs, not technology for technology's sake.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, coming back to you, Fredrik, how does one figure out what problems to solve? I mean, that's a part of the theme definition. How do you work with that?
Well, as I said earlier, it's about you have to listen to the industry. You have to listen. You have to have your ears open, and you have to find these arenas where you can lift these things and embrace it. Basically, prioritize in a good fashion. But I'm coming back to the previous answer that. We're working with our program councils, and we're really listening to the industry in this.
Great. I think our time is out, and I think we're ending on a very good note, using technology in the Advanced Digitalization program to solve real industrial needs from words to action. Thank you very much, everyone, and thanks for taking part and listening.
Thank you.